and we all call Laura Sarge. Everybody in America wants to tell me what to do, and she got to do it every day.
Laura Schwartz coordinated events for President Clinton and now runs her own company, Laura Schwartz Live. She joins me now to speak about women in business. So Laura, you're in London to speak about the changing face of global business. What are we looking at exactly?
We're looking at more women in the workplace, not just in one country or two countries, but around the world. You know, when you look at the evolution of women in education and women in a business, it's something that we know, because you can't count on much in life, but we know that women are growing their presence in the workforce, both in C-level positions, entry-level positions, and middle management.
Many high-profile women have been speaking about women's role in business, but surely it's obvious that diversity is a good thing. So who are these talks targeting?
When you look at women in the marketplace, consumers, women, especially in America, have the control of the pocketbook. So a lot of your advertisers, whether it's a brand or a product or a mission of a company or organization, they are targeting the female factor. And it is so important because the females are making the decisions for their families.
Now, the release your people sent over, it said, from Microsoft to the White House, here are the women behind the men in business. Now, that doesn't really sound like you're doing women a lot of favors there. It sounds a bit sexist, like almost we're second.
Women are making great strides, but very often these are women in the role of the PA. There's a few men as well, but it's definitely primarily female focused. And these PAs and EAs have grown in their position. Since different offices and businesses have made cutbacks in the roles of others, it's oftentimes that the PA and EA start to bring on and manage events, manage more projects, work more with the entire company as a team than just service that boss, that one executive.
So hiring women is good for business. But surely you should be hiring the person who's best qualified for the job, and gender and race and that sort of thing shouldn't even come into it.
I cannot agree more, and I think that that is around the world should be true, because women are educated, so they are well learned, they can stand with conviction because of what they've done and how they do it. I don't think ever a woman should feel disadvantaged. I have to say, I've had a very, very positive journey in my life. I never felt that I was taken for granted. I never thought that I was paid less. I never thought that I wasn't being awarded a promotion because I was a woman. Now, see, I also never look at myself in business as a woman. I look at myself as a credited professional. And I think when we look at that every day, we get up and go to work, we do it well, and we see ourselves advancing because of what we do and how we do it. I like a world that looks at the product.
So the women behind the men in business, you can certainly argue you were one of these women behind Bill Clinton, arguably the most powerful, or one of the most powerful men in the world at the time. What was it like working under him, and also what did you learn from this?
There were many lessons that I learned at the White House. One is never take anything for granted. You know, when you walk in that beautiful White House every day, you can't help but feel excited. And I always told everybody that I worked with, if you ever come to work one day and you don't have that same excitement, maybe it's time to look for another job. And I really had that excitement because when I first started as a volunteer, the day after inauguration in 1993, I never knew that the journey ahead of me would ever be there. So I wanted to give it my all every day. Instead of coming in 9 to 5, I was there at 6:30. I left at 10. I came in on my days off because that's just what you did. And then I advanced up that ladder. But as I did that, I was very well aware. You know, the first term of the presidency is just 4 years. The next term could be another 4 years, but that means you get elected again. And you serve, in my position, as the presidential appointee. So you're not going to stay on longer for that administration. So I think for me, it really helped because I only knew that, well, there could be a couple more years. And then maybe there'll be 4 more. But you don't know that. So you give your all every single day. And that's what I do with my clients now. Because you want to give your everything. Because then you can sleep well at night. You earn your reputation, your credibility. Even when you don't think anybody's looking, you have to be at the top of your game. Because when you're producing events on the world stage, somebody's going to see whether it's a mistake or something great. So you've got to be on your game 24/7. If you don't know something, say you don't know, but be prepared to find out in just one call.
So what sort of leadership things did you learn from such a great man such as Clinton?
To always mentor and know that when you mentor somebody, it's not that you have to be in your career for 20 years. You can be new to your career and offer something to someone else. What I'm seeing in the workplace now is that millennials, just entering the workforce, can be wonderful mentors to people that have been there for 10, 15, 20 years. Because the millennials can teach us something different that we're used to every day. Just like somebody in their career a very long time can mentor somebody just coming up through the ranks. President Clinton always took the time to explain why he was doing what he was doing. And I think if we really have that grasp, we don't just go through life spewing talking points, saying what people want us to say just to say it, but if we truly have our own convictions and we explain them, whether people agree with us or not, they're going to understand the point of which you're coming from. And that's so important in every conversation, both professionally and personally in life.
At just 24, you were appointed Midwest Press Secretary. Now, this was the youngest ever female presidential appointee. So how did you get noticed and respected in such a male-dominated arena?
It really, to me, was about going to work early, staying late, working harder to make for the deficits that I may have had because I wasn't around politics all my life. I voted for President Clinton. He was the first president I was eligible to vote for, and I did when I was 18. But I had no idea I'd end up at the White House and then grow in the White House, which gave me such a firm foundation the rest of my life.
So finally, what would your advice be for young women today just starting out? What's the common mistakes they make and what's the key to success?
Young women today have to look for mentors in the workplace. Mentors that they truly can look up to and learn from, and make it known that they want to learn. Many people graduate from college or come into a job from another and they think they know it all. That's why they've got the job. That is just the start. So ask questions with great validity and credibility, and you'll get incredible answers to grow.